Morning, everybody. Welcome, everybody, for the ones joining in person or virtually. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the organization and sponsors to make it possible for us to get together and achieve, learn, and share insights with each other. So I'd like to welcome you to the Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg session. Before we proceed, let me introduce myself. My name is Sandra Sarmiento, Managing Director of Climate Finance of Terra Global Capital. Please take into account that online viewers can share questions which will be addressed during the Q&A session at the last of the session. Thank you. So I would like to introduce you. I would like to introduce you to Serge Wilms, who is the Minister of the Environment, Climate and Biodiversity, Grand Duchy of Luxembourg.
Yeah, hola, bienvenidos. So it's my pleasure to be here. We this morning already talking about how we can close the finance gap in order to bring also together all the actors to fight biodiversity loss. But for us, it's also very important that we see the connections between biodiversity loss, fighting biodiversity loss, and fighting climate change, and also the co-benefits that projects need to have. And so we have this, on the one side, this finance gap, but we also have this opportunity gap, because there are a lot of projects who are not financially viable, so bankable, and that's why we have to find initiatives. So in order to get projects that invest into nature-based solutions and that have also a huge and a high impact, we have to get them bankable. So, and that's why, as Luxembourgish government, we decided to join forces with CIFOR-ICRAF, because they have the knowledge, because it's a platform where people from science and from finance work together in order to incubate projects and to make them bankable. And this Resilient Landscape Luxembourg is an initiative in order to bring together science and finance and to develop projects that then can be also bankable, financeable, and that will have also a high impact and also have co-benefits, so economic, social, and ecological benefits. And this morning, because we launched this, the first idea came up in 23, and then we launched this officially this year in Nairobi. And now you will get the opportunity to will present some of these projects that are still under development, but I want to see what's the work that is already done and where the bottlenecks. And but it's possible. That's the main message also, that it is possible to bring together science-based projects and finance. And that's what this initiative is all about, so that this is a good opportunity to show that it's not just all about speech and nice speeches, that we want to take actions, but we're taking actions, and they are under development, and they are ready to get implemented. So I just want to thank you. We are very committed as Luxembourgish government to continue to invest in such partnerships, and I'm very proud also that we can show you first results. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Wilms. I want to highlight this great effort that Luxembourg government is doing nowadays, because we were missing those bridges that are between science and finance. We were really missing this component in the market. So thank you so much for this effort. I think it's great that all of the governments could think about ideas like this. So thank you so much. Now we are going to be listening to a video address from CIFOR-ICRAF's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Elaine Ubaliyoro, who will tell us about how this impactful partnership brings concrete solutions for our way forward.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to join you virtually in Cali, Colombia for the 7th GLF Investment Case Symposium. On behalf of CIFOR-ICRAF, we are delighted that this event is co-hosted in partnership with Luxembourg's Ministry of Environment, Climate and Biodiversity. Partnerships are crucial in bringing together the public and private sectors to finance nature-based solutions. With partnerships, we can promote dialogues between companies, investors, governments, civil society actors, and smallholder farmers. And as we work towards meeting the global biodiversity framework targets, the private sector has a key role to play. In the last 4 years, private finance increased 11-fold, from $9.4 billion to over $102 billion. At the same time, owners and managers of capital have increased demand for evidence-based, profitable, and nature-based solutions projects to invest in. This is where science comes in. Science de-risks investments and enhances impact and offers results-oriented solutions. In doing so, science offers a pool of opportunities to address the demand for high-quality projects. Science is also a key ingredient in ensuring the implementation of Target 19 to mobilize $200 billion per year for biodiversity from all sources, including $30 billion through international finance, specifically with evidence-based quality investments in nature-based solutions. At CIFOR-ICRAF, we recognize that access to the best possible science is essential. We need it to develop robust business models and to make sure risk is managed within parameters which investors understand and accept. And as an international reference in landscape science, CIFOR-ICRAF has both the duty and the track record to influencing the investment of private funds. This organization has been using its cutting-edge research to advise public policies and multilateral aid programs throughout its history. However, linkages between science and business do not happen spontaneously. That's why CIFOR-ICRAF created a dedicated arm of the organization to connect the science of CIFOR-ICRAF to the private sector. This is Resilient Landscapes. And today, we are delighted to present the Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg initiative. It was established by Luxembourg's Ministry of Environment, Climate and Biodiversity and CIFOR-ICRAF to accelerate the scaling up of investment in sustainable landscapes. Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg aims, in conjunction with private sector partners, to identify and develop financially viable projects with significant biodiversity and climate co-benefits. It enables the design, execution, acceleration, and learning of large-scale science-backed projects, some of which we will have the pleasure of hearing about today. It is dedicated to unlocking the untapped source of investments born out of scientific research. The collaboration builds alliances among corporates, investors, governments, and farmers, emphasizing the climate biodiversity nexus and the sustainable development goals. Leveraging CIFOR-ICRAF's nearly 50 years of expertise in forestry, agroforestry, and biodiversity, and extensive partnership networks across Africa, Asia, and Latin America, Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg focuses on incubating projects that either emerge from the CIFOR-ICRAF research portfolio or that come externally and can benefit from our science. Exciting opportunities and an enabling environment make Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg timely and relevant. Amid the unprecedented global attention to nature-based solutions, we see companies demonstrating genuine interest in reducing their carbon footprint and addressing supply chain challenges. Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg is dedicated to addressing the increased demand for evidence-based investable projects focused on impact and results. For the way forward, understanding the benefits of both science and business and bringing innovation to market can bring both parties closer. More science-backed initiatives like Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg are needed to ensure innovative tools that support high-level impact ambitions and commitments. Science must work more closely with entrepreneurs and financiers so groundbreaking research can be turned into successful business opportunities. Hence, it is my pleasure to congratulate the Resilient Landscapes team and the Luxembourg Ministry of Environment, Climate and Biodiversity. Let this collaboration spark fresh investment in the solutions and tools we and our planet need. We look forward to an inspirational event today and an exciting and impactful partnership.
Thank you. Now we are, let me introduce you to Jose Ashak. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that last name pretty well. He's going to talk about directing finance to address the threats we face to preserve landscapes and biodiversity.
Buenos días. En representación de la Confederación de Pueblos y Nacionalidades de la Amazonía Ecuatoriana, mi nombre es José Sach, de la nacionalidad Shuar, actual presidente. Represento a 11 nacionalidades y 23 organizaciones de la región amazónica. Somos gobierno territorial que abarcamos alrededor de 8 millones de territorios. Segundo, quiero agradecer quienes han hecho posible mi presencia aquí. Primero, agradecidos a Dios porque estar en Cali, conocer a muchas organizaciones, muchos gobiernos y aliados, para nosotros es una oportunidad, pero también sí es una preocupación, porque venimos a decir que esto que se habla de cambio climático, defensa de la vida, defensa territorial, para nosotros va más allá. Para los pueblos de Ecuador, los territorios son espacios de vida, es nuestra casa común. Allí tenemos proyectos de vida, proyectos de paz, proyectos de futuro. Agradecer al gobierno de Luxemburgo, invitarle a mi país, Ecuador, a conocer todo lo que tenemos todavía. Tenemos bosque virgen, cola de tallos, agua dulce, sal natural y todo lo demás. Esto que nosotros cuidamos, la selva amazónica, sin duda, es un aporte importante para el mundo. De ser importante, creemos que los mecanismos de financiamiento tienen que ser menos burocráticos y de libre acceso, porque nosotros somos los que cuidamos la selva, la madre tierra. Están amenazados nuestros territorios, sin embargo, entre comillas, los proyectos de desarrollo económico amenazan a nuestros territorios. A cambio, en algunos sectores de mi pueblo nos han dejado contaminación, conflictos, persecución incluso a los que defendemos la madre tierra del agua. Proponemos al mundo, y a Estado, en este caso al Estado de Luxemburgo, que nuestras voces sean escuchadas. Y en esta negociación de fondos climáticos para los implementadores, gobiernos donantes, tiene que ser como requisito obligatorio, llevar los planes de vida como instrumento de negociación. Eso va a ser la garantía para nosotros. En estos espacios, creo que no va a ser la primera vez, seguirá siempre, estaremos presentes nosotros como Confeñay, somos parte de la CONAI y la COICA. De antes escuché aquí mi hermano de Coyay. Las realidades son similares, pues la situación crítica nos debe obligar a todos, comunidades, gobiernos, aliados, donantes, implementadores, mirar primero a la vida, garantizar a la generación. Si nosotros no hacemos esto de manera urgente, vamos todos a terminar en un callejón sin salida, al despeñadero. Hay que parar. Y cuando queremos parar decimos, aquí estamos los pueblos y nacionalidades que defendemos el territorio, que amamos la vida. En términos económicos, nosotros no queremos hablar de recursos de sentido capitalista, sacrificar la vida. No, queremos decir que la economía indígena, generar economía en el territorio, a estas mujeres de las nacionalidades que cuidan la chacra, que cuiden el agua, su huerta. Vino el COVID-19, nosotros combatimos y vendimos al mundo jengibre, ají, la planta medicinal curativa para cáncer y otras enfermedades más. Por eso creemos de que nosotros como Amazonía ecuatoriana siempre estaremos presentes y también una vez más agradecer por escucharnos. Y no va a ser la primera vez, estaremos siempre. Un abrazo a todos mis hermanos, felicitar a tus pueblos y nacionalidades de América Latina y del mundo que luchan y defienden y levantan su voz por defender la madre tierra. Abrazo a todos, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Señor José, because of your inspiring words. I think that we are all of here because we are really interested in communities, because we are really aware of what is going on in the territories. And that's why panels like this are so important. That's why this COP is so important, because we are aligned, because we are bridging the gap, because there are entities, our governments like Luxembourg that is taking in account that the language that we have to speak is the same one. We are not living in different worlds. We have just one planet and we are making it work for it. So I think that words like the Minister Wilms and words like Jose now are putting us together to speak the same language that is direct to take care of our communities, our land, and how we're going to make it work. So thank you so much. Now we I want to introduce you to Stefan Pierre, who is going to introduce us to the Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg. Thank you so much.
Stefan Perrier, I'm the global lead for Resilient Landscapes, which is the team inside CIFOR-ICRAF that manages the partnership called Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg. You're probably wondering, after all these inspiring speeches, how this is working, how we plan to reconnect the needs of local communities, the inputs from science, and the interest of the private sector. But before serving you a theoretical speech, I'd rather let you hear from the first adopters of this incubator that we've created together, and listen to them in a video that they've recorded of the full first projects that are being incubated.
So from our Sustainable Wood Fuel initiative, we were looking at how we could actually accelerate the transformation of these sectoral activities and also how to make them economically viable. And there our collaboration with Resilient Landscapes came in. We hope to be able to upscale the production of improved cook stoves up to 60,000 cook stoves a year between now and 2026, so that almost all the households in Kisangani can purchase an improved cook stove. It will help them to reduce their consumption of charcoal by 35 to 45%. We will also involve close to 50 villages all around the biosphere reserve of Yangambi, trying to create a buffer where charcoal makers no longer will go into the forest, cut trees, but instead will be planting trees and having efficient carbonization methods to create a charcoal that will go to the city of Kisangani. It will reduce their wood use by half. So the whole value chain together and the sustainable solutions will help to reduce the pressure on the forests of Yangambi landscape and also to maintain biodiversity, the high value tree species within the forests.
We have been having a very interesting partnership working with the Resilient Landscape team in identifying the best way to support the agroforestry development, but especially how do we supporting the value chain around the shea development, especially how to regenerate the shea parkland using innovative crafting technology that help improving the traditional ways of transforming and processing the shea, but the way that benefit mostly to women, which are the most important actors in this value chain. On that line, we've been working closely with Resilient Landscape on how this is making a game changer collaboration. We are building an alliance among scientists with collaborators, private sector investors that we have now identified at different stages of the value chain to help designing, but most importantly, mobilizing resources using adding value created by the shea to support a nature-based solution in Benin. This is a very good initiative that allow CIFOR-ICRAF as organization to bring out of our traditional way of doing things, bring technologies to scale by leveraging on existing private sector on board.
Resilient Landscape have been very helpful to shape the project we were anticipating to develop. So this really involves exchange in terms of knowledge and expertise, and the team have been very fruitful to put the concept note and the proposal into shape. I would say that Resilient Landscapes have been really pivotal to make this project attractive to investors. Currently, we have one a local investor, Rwandan investor, who have shown his interest. Now the conversations are going smoothly, and we hope to put this into practice in a short time. So this will really give us a good start working with investors, and also it will really attract more people to engage with science and to bridge the gap between scientists and the developmental practitioners.
The challenge that we were facing before partnering with the Resilient Landscape was being technical persons and scientific people. We do not know how to speak to private sector, so we don't speak same languages. And that is where Resilient Landscape is playing very important role to link our hardcore science with business and converting this interaction into an opportunity of investment and impact-oriented work with the communities, where communities will be benefited, and not only communities, but also there will be social and environmental impact at large. It will be a new approach, not the business as usual that we do at CIFOR and ICRAF, because the investors' money will be given to some stakeholders in the medicinal and aromatic plants value chain, and they will return this investment with some interest. So it's a new way of working for us, which will have the economic impact on the local communities. Also, it will have a larger social impact and the environmental impact as well, because while working with farmers and local communities, we will be introducing nature-based solution and environment-friendly technologies. So we really look forward to work with the team of Resilient Landscape and see this model that we are planning to implement in Nepal can be a proven model to not only to use in Nepal, but in other regional and in global perspective as well.
I really like to start with these testimonials because they're telling us two things. They're telling us why they're interested in joining us, but they're also speaking about the challenges. What are the bottlenecks for us to reconnect science and the business? Well, we hear through their words that the first one may be confidence. How do scientists trust that they can engage in a project that will not, well, they will not lose their soul, where they can engage with the private sector, being protected? So we are this bubble of protection. We're internal to CIFOR-ICRAF, but the RL team is trained in finance, in project design, in marketing, and we provide a safe place for scientists to experiment with these new kind of doing business and building projects. Another aspect of this is somehow reversing the logic of a scientific institution. Instead of putting action at the service of knowledge, we put knowledge at the service of action. What we want is results. We start with the end in mind, as we say in investment. This is a completely different logic. And again, it requires trusted partners to do it. The end game for this is to offer to science an outlet, a way for it to grow bigger and to go out of the realm of sponsored grant and into a self-replicating mode, jumping into the real economy and growing. It's not something for everything that is done inside CIFOR-ICRAF. Some projects are meant to be scientific, but for some other projects, it's really the way out. It's really the way that science becomes a legacy into the real world. There's another set of things that we see through these interviews. There are skills needed. It's not just about trust. There are skills missing. So we're bringing these skills. It's skills of, as I said, it's marketing, finance, project design. But it's not just bringing the skills, it's also connecting them. You heard one of the scientists saying, we built alliance inside CIFOR-ICRAF. So we're packaging different areas of CIFOR-ICRAF, bringing them together so that they form a coherent project design. Of course, when needed, we also bring external expertise. And last but not least, this is about a cultural shift. So what we need to bring is insight. We need to lead our colleagues to designing projects that will receive a good attention from the private sector. It's super important that the first examples that we're developing right now are meeting a success. So having business insights, understanding the investors, knowing what they're after is important to guide our scientists towards the right opportunities. At the end of the day, this could bring a culture shift. We expect that now we're having this bottom-up approach, so bringing up ideas that come from science into the investment world, but we hope that soon we'll see the opposite thing happening, the business coming to us and telling us, look, these are the hurdles we're meeting. Can science help us crack that one? And maybe in 3, 4, 5 years' time, we have a project that you can invest in resolving this issue that you're meeting. So this is really a call for action. We are conscious that what we are doing right now is still very small scale and experimental, but it's showing a way. And inside RLL, Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg, there is room for partnership. So if you're an NGO, if you're developing projects, we're really happy to look at how we can support you into incubating your ideas. From this year on, the incubation process is open to external opportunities, so not just things that were born inside CIFOR-ICRAF, but external opportunities that can collaborate with CIFOR-ICRAF and the Resilient Landscape team to design investment opportunities. If you're a technical partner, if you're working specifically on project finance, if you're working specifically on commodities, reach out, because we might need your expertise. This might be one of the loopholes we have in the team. If you're an investor, reach out to us. We want to know what you're looking for. We want to know what the trends are. We are connected with investors, but as I said earlier, one of our missions is to feel the trends and make sure that we're putting the scientists on the right track. So this is meant to grow, and it's not just about doing the same thing more. It's also about diversifying. This is one way of reconnecting science and business. There are other ways. The GLF, as itself, is a way of convening people from different spheres. And incubation itself is a stratified universe. We are doing what we call late incubation. We take things that are pretty mature inside CIFOR-ICRAF and take them to the investment sphere. But there's room to incubate earlier projects that are still very scientific, have not yet provided proof of concept, that require 2, 3, 4 years of incubation and need grant capital so that they can then enter the incubation process. So you see, this is kind of a universe that we're exploring, and we're really happy if we get joined by other partners completing this ecosystem to reconnect these two spheres. You will always hear scientists saying, we need private sector. You will always hear private sector, we need the science. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefan. From Terra Rural Capital, we also want to share some of the experiences that we have had in the field, in the day by day. We have been struggling, for saying like that in a dramatic way, for several years, because we have found several opportunities, several projects on the ground, but we have been finding these structures that are not built enough, that are not strong enough to invest. So we have to go through a really long process, that is the investment readiness process, so the communities and the projects are ready to be invest. If we don't have this process done inside the community, how are we expecting them to run the project in a long way? So from our experience in Terra Global Capital, we have been dealing with this process for several years. We have spent a lot of time, and as our CEO says, sweet equity, developing these projects, having them just ready in different processes that are required to develop project. It doesn't matter what type of project it is how can you strain the community enough so they can handle different parts of a project. It's not only like have the balance sheet in place, it's also how are they going to be doing the monitoring process, how are they going to be doing the reports, how are we going to doing different activities that are needed for a project to be successful for them and for the investors, because we are having two parts of the equation here, not only the investors, but also the communities. And we need those proven expertise that these organizations are giving us nowadays, meaning that also investors need those concepts to be proven so they can be secure and they are, rely on the projects that they are investing in. So when we make the approach to investor, we just cannot show the project. We have to show the expertise. We have to prove that the project is going to work, because the investors need information. They need to be educated. Of course, in this kind of topics that the science always show like far away from us. So I think the organizations like these are really helpful, are going to make us work together in a really easier and better way. So this is the perspective from Terra Global Capital. So thank you so much, because these organizations are going to make us work faster for the investor and with the science and knowledge that the community is required to move on. Thank you so much. And now we are going to be moving to the floor. For you, if you have any questions related with the topics that we have talked right now, and this session for the Q&A are going to be moderated by Nevena Buckler. She is the Partnership and Engagement Lead at CIFOR-ICRAF Resilient Landscapes.
Is this working? Oh, it is. Thank you very much. Oh, great. This is even better. Okay, thank you very much, Sandra. Pleasure. So as Sandra said, I'll be moderating the online Q&A, and during this session, we actually received a number of questions. So I'd like to start with a question to Stéphane Perrier. What is the trend you're seeing for the first projects for RLL in terms of private sector interest? And if you can tell us a little bit about this. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an interesting question because there are two things we see. One is that we're surprising investors because CIFOR-ICRAF is not famous for producing investment opportunities. We're famous for other things. So it's a weird animal they're seeing out there. So this kind of confirms the innovative approach that we have. But at the same time, this is a really good time to bring new blood, new ideas to the investment sphere. Because as Eliane reminded in her address, there's more money pouring in from the private sector, but this happened in a very short time, and that's not the speed at which projects develop. It takes longer to mature projects in the field. So bringing new projects from a different universe that would not previously connect is really good news. So we're getting great interest. And I think success, like always, we always say that proof is in the pudding. Success for the first batch is going to be a real game changer once we get recognition as a provider of opportunities.
Thank you so much, Stéphane. The next question we have from the online participants are related to the types of private sector actors that Resilient Landscapes Luxembourg is looking at for example, the second batch, which we understand is coming up, and also on the basis of experiences from the first batch. So what are the types of private sector entities that you are engaging with?
So it's still recent, so we can't generalize. But right now, the type of investors from which we see the most interest are in two types. Ones are supply chain corporates that are interested in sourcing sustainable materials from landscape projects. So not just sourcing one material, but sourcing from a whole ecosystem and understanding that what they source generates positive benefits. So in the agroforestry coffee project in Rwanda, this is typically the kind of players we're going to be speaking with. Another type of player is the more financial ones. So we see banks being interested in the project. This is surprising to us and really great news because banks are really here for doing real business. I mean, we have development banks, agricultural banks, but they're interested. Local banks in the countries where we work are showing interest for the projects. And then you have the funds in the financial family who are also looking at the project to diversify their portfolio. You'll see out there many funds making claims of investing in nature-based solution. And then again comes the challenge, the bottleneck of the pipeline. And we come with a solution for that. So that's the type of investors we get. It's not really different for the second or the first batch.
Okay, thank you. And then we have the last question, which is kind of related to the bottlenecks that you just mentioned. And all the questions are really directed to Resilient Landscapes, so sorry for that. What are the current challenges, or basically the key challenges that you're experiencing with the project incubation cycle? And mainly the connecting of science and evidence to bankable investment opportunities.
I think the main challenge is that it's typical of the first batch. We're doing something new, so people are a bit scared internally. So we have to reassure them a lot, explain a lot. We are measuring the extent, the size of the gap, of the vocabulary, cultural gap between the business world and the scientific world. We don't call the same things with the same names. What you call an impact is not the same everywhere. What you call a result is not the same everywhere. What you call a pilot is not the same everywhere. So it takes a lot of explaining and repeating, but we're seeing a momentum. It's very interesting to see that between the first batch and the second batch that is starting now, the quality of the ideas that are being submitted to us went drastically up. People are starting to understand what is a bankable project, what is my ambition from where I am now to where I can be with the private sector. So this cultural shift, it's just starting, but we're seeing indicators that it's going the right direction.
Thank you so much, Stéphane. So I think unless there are questions from the audience, which I cannot really see at the moment. If there is, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter Bulimo, and I'm lead volunteer for this session. But on the other hand, I also lead a youth-led nature-based solutions accelerator project. We have successfully piloted it in Kenya, and we're thinking to scale across Africa. And I also wanted to find out maybe what are some of the opportunities to linking youth-led nature-based solutions projects, because we have been doing a livelihoods accelerator project for young people, focusing on the livelihood component of it and the core benefits for nature. But in an effort to try to de-risk their innovations and investments, we have not been very successful, especially in terms of the longevity of the work and impact, because obviously as young people we have limited resources, and we have also not been able to capture the intergenerational mentorship partnerships with other bigger institutions. So how do you think there are prospects to partnering with young people that are also doing nature-based solutions, and what are some of the ways that we can work together? Thank you.
So I think many organizations are in your situation. That's why I'm saying this is a big universe, and we won't be enough to cover it. So the main thing is to understand where you're creating value. That's how we start with the project that are submitted to us. Is where do you create value? So and does the cost of my project create more value than what it's costing? Usually, when you can demonstrate this, you can create a business case. Then it's a question of scale, it's a question of compliance, of finding the investors that are interested in your geography, but these are the kind of things we can do. But the value creation analysis is the starting point. So if you come and talk with us to join the second batch, that's where we'll start.
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm Christian Tiambo from the International Livestock Research Institute. I'm based in Nairobi. And it's really nice to see what Resilient Landscape is doing. It's wonderful across landscape and different geographies, etc. But I was thinking, in the a smallholder farmer setting, we know this landscape is mostly going with livestock, particularly the locally adapted livestock. Where do you see in the different areas where you are doing these activities, agroforestry and livestock inclusion, really adding value to accelerate these investment opportunities in all the activities we are developing? Thank you.
Okay, sorry if I didn't get precisely your question. You're asking if we're working with smallholders?
Yeah. Do you see any added value from local and locally adapted livestock genetic resources in accelerating the initiative you are developing?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, we work exclusively with smallholders, which is a focus of CIFOR-ICRAF. So since the first batch was derived from CIFOR-ICRAF ideas, it's devoted to smallholders. And yes, the sustainable management of the farm resource is at the core of most of the value creation we do. when we work at farm level. In Berlin, for example, we work at landscape level with shea parklands, but in Rwanda, where we work on smallholder farms, we call it agroforestry, but it's basically what really is a rethinking of how you do farming. It's about planting trees, but it's not just planting trees. When you bring the trees, you bring the sustainable agriculture practices. You train the farmer to be, instead of being resource intensive, being knowledge intensive in how he farms the land. So he becomes less dependent on inputs and more dependent on his own knowledge that he can share and transmit.
More question?
Thank you. My name is Edi Purwanto from Tropenbros, Indonesia. Yeah, seeing the project, I think it's in this connecting the gap between scientific to business. Yeah, and as I'm from Indonesia and CIFOR-ICRAF also in Indonesia, whether the project also involving key partner like NGOs in Indonesia. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who is the question directed to?
To
Stefan Perrier.
Stefan, yeah. I repeat my question? Yeah. My name is Edi Purwanto from Tropenbos, Indonesia. Yeah. As CIFOR-ICRAF is also in Indonesia, I'm wondering whether the project also will involve the CIFOR project in Indonesia and also involving NGOs in doing this project. Thank you.
You mean impacting an existing project?
Yeah, I mean, is in the project is also involving involving the NGO activities in Indonesia for Tropenbos Indonesia can involve this project to support ICRAF.
Okay, so first of all, yes, the incubator is open to NGOs and partners of CIFOR-ICRAF. This was starting this year. We're having a call for project ideas open until next month. However, this goes through a partnership with CIFOR-ICRAF. So if you're already in contact with CIFOR-ICRAF, what you need to do is tell your focal points in CIFOR-ICRAF, I'm interested in incubating a project with the help of the RLL incubator. And they are your entry point to the incubator. So yes, the short answer is yes.
Have any more questions?
Oh, yes.
So I'd like to have a question to Mariana regarding your activities in Colombia. Could you probably showcase a little bit your work, the work that you've been doing in Chocó, the work with the communities that you've been doing in Chocó or in the Pacific region, to understand a little bit more in depth what your activities are?
I think the question is for Sandra, or?
Sorry, to Sandra, yes.
Yes, it's okay.
Burima, thank you so much. Would you mind repeating your question, please?
Yes, I mean, Terra Global Capital is engaged in the Pacific region of Colombia. So I'd like to know a little bit more what activities are you doing there, if you can showcase and explain us what is your involvement with the communities in the Pacific region in Colombia, just to understand a little bit your strategy, the way of getting involved with the community and supporting those communities in that region.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I think we are running out of time, even though I'll try to be direct and short. We have been working in the Chocó for 6 years. I mean, I'm the person who has been developing this project. And as Resilient Landscapes in Luxembourg, as this organization, we have been doing the same thing as they are doing right now. We have been preparing these communities for developing these projects. So we spent like 4 years with them, aligning the language that they manage, aligning the language that the investor manage, so we can agree on the terms that we are going to be negotiating over time. We agree on the activities that we are developing on the ground. We have, I mean, enough permissions to get into the territories, talk to their communities, understand what their behaviors, their needs, or all the process that they're required to understand what a project would provide. Because sometimes when we get there, they were expecting that we could solve all the problems that they may have in the territory, but we have to make, the project as clear as it can be since the beginning, saying, hey, this project is yours. There are activities that we are planning to do together are your responsibility because this is your territory, this is your project. We are with you, guiding you in something that you have been doing all these years, but with another perspective, with a sustainable perspective. So that's the job that we have been doing with this territory. It's a great project, I have to say. 700,000 hectares, 124 communities, that we are all aligned, making an effort to develop this RED Plus project with the community. Doing a really great effort, and I feel really proud because they are really learning a lot how to develop a project and handle the project and manage all the financial terms and topics that investors want us to explain in a better way. So thank you for the question and thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Sandra. And I think the organizers are telling us we're running out of time. So I would like to invite Thomas Schoos, Director General of the Ministry of the Environment, Climate and Sustainability of Luxembourg, to give us his closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Yeah, now. So it's my honor to close this session. And I will be short since I know we're running out of time. I just have a few points that I want to highlight before we end. First, I want to say thank you to CIFOR-ICRAF for this marvelous project that we're doing with them. It's a project that would take time to reap all the potential that we identify in there, but we will be behind you and we will continue working on this. I want to thank the Chua chief from Ecuador who's here with us for blessing us with his presence. Also the Chief Kleber this morning in the session, that you can come and talk to us is also important to Luxembourg. And I want to thank the GLF Forum for being with us for all these years. It's over 5 years now that we work together on these kind of investment cases, and I really see that this is helping us learn. And I guess that's one of my main points, that we need to keep learning what works. And what we love about Resilient Landscapes, this specific project, is that it's about hitting that sweet spot between creating profit and identifying bankable projects, and having science on the other side, basically coming up with things that are not attractive enough. And we've heard a lot about language, so it's about bringing together the semantics also of business and of science, of impact investment with normal retail investors, and there's a long way to go. But what we see in Resilient Landscapes is that on the scale that we can manage now, we can see that it actually really works. And so we have to now work on, over the years to come, how we can scale this up and take no foul compromises in scaling up. So just, I want to end on an image. I was sitting with my ministry in between sessions here, and I had an espresso cup that was full, and I was trying not to spill it, so I poured it into a bigger cup. And that's, the point is, imagine that's all the money that we've invested as Luxembourg or as an international community in biodiversity so far. Science is telling us now that the cup is much bigger. So we pour this in to the larger cup, and so psychologically we tend to see, well, it's almost empty, it's almost nowhere. We're nowhere, we're hitting. So what we're trying to keep on living or going is the positive mindset, that we look for the pragmatic solutions, we look to talk less and act more, and as a government as well, we have the privilege to support the projects and the initiatives where we identify that that's exactly happening. And Resilient Landscapes and Global Landscapes Forum are two of these projects where we see that there's results, so we will continue to work with them. Thank you so much.